Question 1. Compliance review shows that the Al Mamun University College Admissions Committee is considering a proposal to lower the minimum entry score for certain programs to meet enrollment targets. The committee is debating whether to prioritize immediate enrollment numbers or maintain the current academic rigor of the admissions criteria. Option A. Implement a temporary, informal adjustment to the minimum entry score for a select few applicants who are close to the threshold, without formal documentation or review. Option B. Immediately lower the minimum entry score for all programs to ensure enrollment targets are met, as this is the primary objective for the current academic year. Option C. Focus solely on marketing efforts to attract more applicants, without considering any changes to the admissions criteria. To address potential enrollment shortfalls, Option D. Conduct a comprehensive review of the current admissions framework, consult with academic departments on program-specific needs, and develop a data-driven proposal for any adjustments, ensuring transparency in the process. Correct answer is D. Conduct a comprehensive review of the current admissions framework, consult with academic departments on program-specific needs, and develop a data-driven proposal for any adjustments, ensuring transparency in the process. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires balancing the immediate needs of the university with the long-term implications of its admissions policies, particularly concerning fairness and adherence to established academic standards. The admissions committee must exercise careful judgment to ensure that any adjustments to criteria are both justifiable and transparent, avoiding any perception of bias or arbitrary decision-making. The correct approach involves a thorough review of the existing admissions framework, consultation with relevant academic departments, and a clear articulation of the rationale for any proposed changes. This ensures that decisions are grounded in academic merit and institutional goals, aligning with the Al Mamun University College's commitment to quality education and fair selection. This approach is ethically sound and professionally responsible, as it prioritizes evidence-based decision-making and maintains the integrity of the admissions process. It upholds the principle of fairness by ensuring that all applicants are evaluated against consistent and well-defined criteria. An incorrect approach that prioritizes immediate enrollment targets over academic rigor would fail to uphold the university's academic standards. This could lead to admitting students who are not adequately prepared for the college-level curriculum, potentially resulting in higher dropout rates and a diminished reputation for the institution. Ethically, this approach compromises the university's duty to provide a quality education and to select students who are most likely to succeed. Another incorrect approach that involves making ad hoc adjustments to criteria based on external pressures, without a formal review or justification, would be professionally unacceptable. This undermines the transparency and fairness of the admissions process, potentially creating an uneven playing field for applicants and eroding trust in the university's decision-making. It violates the ethical obligation to maintain a consistent and equitable admission system. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured approach. First, clearly define the problem or objective. Second, gather relevant information, including existing policies, academic performance data, and feedback from stakeholders. Third, identify and evaluate potential solutions, considering their alignment with institutional values, academic standards, and ethical principles. Fourth, select the best course of action based on this evaluation, ensuring clear communication of the rationale. Finally, monitor the outcomes and be prepared to make further adjustments if necessary, always maintaining transparency and accountability. Question 2. Compliance review shows that a significant number of applications for the Al Mamun University College entrance exam were submitted shortly before the deadline, with some applicants reportedly receiving assistance from external tutors who may have had access to pre-release exam materials. The admissions committee is under pressure to finalize admissions quickly to meet enrollment targets. What is the most appropriate course of action for the admissions committee? Option A. Proceed with the admissions process as planned, focusing on meeting enrollment targets, and address any confirmed irregularities on a case-by-case basis after admissions are finalized. Option B. Prioritize the applications that appear to be from students who did not utilize external tutors and expedite their admissions to meet enrollment targets while investigating the others. Option C. Immediately initiate a thorough investigation into the alleged pre-release of exam materials and the extent of external assistance, pausing the finalization of admissions until the review is complete and the integrity of the exam can be confirmed. Option D. Inform the external tutors that their assistance is under scrutiny and request them to provide evidence of their preparation methods, while continuing with admissions to avoid delays. The correct answer is C. Immediately initiate a thorough investigation into the alleged pre-release of exam materials and the extent of external assistance, pausing the finalization of admissions until the review is complete and the integrity of the exam can be confirmed. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between the university's immediate financial needs and the long-term integrity of its admissions process. The admissions committee is tasked with upholding the fairness and credibility of the entrance exam, which directly impacts the university's reputation and the quality of its student body. A hasty decision based on external pressure, without thorough investigation, risks compromising these core principles. The correct approach involves a systematic and evidence-based review of the alleged irregularities. This entails gathering all relevant documentation, interviewing involved parties, and objectively assessing the evidence against established examination protocols and ethical guidelines. This approach is justified by the Al-Mamun University College's commitment to academic integrity and fair assessment, as outlined in its internal regulations and the broader ethical standards expected of educational institutions. Upholding these standards ensures that all candidates are evaluated on merit and that the admissions process remains transparent and trustworthy. An incorrect approach would be to immediately dismiss the allegations without proper investigation. This fails to acknowledge the seriousness of potential breaches and could lead to the admission of unqualified candidates or the unjust exclusion of deserving ones. Another incorrect approach would be to succumb to external pressure to expedite a decision without due diligence. This compromises the committee's independence and undermines the principle of impartial evaluation, potentially leading to accusations of bias or favorability. A third incorrect approach would be to focus solely on the financial implications of delaying admissions, neglecting the fundamental responsibility to ensure the integrity of the examination process. This prioritizes short-term gains over long-term institutional values and ethical obligations. Professionals in such situations should employ a structured decision-making process. This begins with clearly identifying the ethical and regulatory obligations at play. Next, they must gather all pertinent facts and evidence. Then, they should analyze the situation from the perspective of all stakeholders, considering the impact of potential decisions on candidates, the university, and the wider academic community. Finally, they should make a decision that is consistent with established policies, ethical principles, and regulatory requirements, ensuring transparency and fairness throughout the process. Question 3. When evaluating the most effective strategy for preparing for the Al-Mamun University College entrance exam, which approach best aligns with the examination's purpose and the principles of academic integrity? Option A. Prioritizing a deep understanding of core academic concepts and demonstrating critical thinking skills relevant to the chosen field of study. Option B. Seeking unauthorized assistance or information to gain an unfair advantage during the preparation or examination process. Option C. Concentrating solely on memorizing answers from previous examination papers to anticipate question patterns. Option D. Focusing primarily on crafting a compelling personal narrative and extracurricular achievements without substantial academic preparation. Correct answer is A. Prioritizing a deep understanding of core academic concepts and demonstrating critical thinking skills relevant to the chosen field of study. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires the applicant to demonstrate an understanding of the core principles and ethical considerations that underpin the Al-Mamun University College entrance examination process, specifically from the perspective of the university's admissions committee. The challenge lies in identifying the approach that best aligns with the stated goals of the examination, which are to assess academic potential and suitability for higher education, while adhering to principles of fairness and integrity. Careful judgment is required to distinguish between approaches that are merely superficial or self-serving, and those that genuinely reflect an understanding of the examination's purpose and the university's values. The correct approach involves the applicant focusing on demonstrating their genuine academic capabilities and their understanding of the subject matter relevant to their chosen field of study at Al-Mamun University College. This approach is correct because the Al-Mamun University College entrance exam is designed to evaluate a candidate's preparedness for university-level studies. By concentrating on showcasing their knowledge, critical thinking skills, and potential for academic success, the applicant directly addresses the examination's primary objective. This aligns with the implicit ethical duty of the applicant to present themselves honestly and to engage with the assessment process in good faith, as expected by any educational institution seeking to admit qualified students. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on memorizing past exam papers without understanding the underlying concepts fails, because it prioritizes rote learning over genuine comprehension. This is ethically problematic as it misrepresents the applicant's true academic abilities and undermines the integrity of the examination process, which aims to identify students capable of independent learning and critical analysis. Another incorrect approach, which involves seeking external assistance or attempting to gain an unfair advantage, is fundamentally unethical and a direct violation of the examination's rules and the principles of academic integrity. Such actions not only disqualify the applicant, but also damage the reputation of the institution and the value of its qualifications. A third incorrect approach, which is to focus on superficial presentation or personal anecdotes rather than academic merit, is also flawed because it diverts attention from the core purpose of the entrance exam. While a well-rounded individual is desirable, the entrance exam's primary function is to assess academic aptitude, and an applicant's efforts should be directed towards demonstrating this. The professional decision-making process for similar situations involves first understanding the explicit and implicit objectives of the assessment. This requires careful reading of examination guidelines and an awareness of the institution's mission. Secondly, applicants should consider the ethical implications of their chosen strategy, ensuring it aligns with principles of honesty, fairness, and integrity. Finally, the most effective approach is always to focus on genuine preparation and demonstration of one's own abilities, as this leads to a more accurate and meaningful evaluation of potential. Question 4. The efficiency study reveals that a member of the Al-Mamun University College Admissions Committee has a close relative who has submitted an application for the upcoming academic year. The committee member is aware of this familial connection. Considering the principles of fair and impartial admissions, what is the most appropriate course of action for this committee member? Option A. Immediately recuse themselves from all discussions and voting related to the applicant's admission. Option B. Discuss the applicant's strengths and weaknesses with other committee members who are not directly involved in the applicant's evaluation to gain diverse perspectives. Option C. Proceed with evaluating the application, assuring colleagues that personal feelings will not influence their professional judgment. Option D. Delegate the primary evaluation of the applicant's file to a junior member of the admissions team to avoid personal involvement. The correct answer is A. Immediately recuse themselves from all discussions and voting related to the applicant's admission. Explanation. The efficiency study reveals a potential conflict of interest within the Al-Mamun University College Admissions Committee. Specifically, it highlights that a committee member's close relative has applied for admission. This scenario is professionally challenging because it directly impacts the integrity and fairness of the admissions process, which is a core responsibility of the university. Maintaining public trust and ensuring equitable opportunities for all applicants are paramount. The committee member faces a dilemma: their personal relationship versus their professional duty to act impartially. Careful judgment is required to navigate this situation without compromising ethical standards or regulatory compliance. The correct approach involves recusing oneself from any decision-making processes directly related to the applicant in question. This aligns with the principles of transparency, fairness, and avoiding conflicts of interest, which are fundamental to ethical conduct in academic institutions. By stepping aside, the committee member upholds their professional integrity and ensures that the admission decision is made solely on merit, free from any perceived or actual bias. This proactive measure safeguards the reputation of Al-Mamun University College and reinforces its commitment to a just admissions process, adhering to the spirit of fairness expected in educational governance. An incorrect approach would be to proceed with evaluating the application without disclosure, arguing that personal feelings will not influence the decision. This fails to acknowledge the inherent risk of unconscious bias and the appearance of impropriety. Ethically, It violates the duty to disclose potential conflicts and undermines the trust placed in the committee member. Another incorrect approach would be to discuss the applicant's case with other committee members who are not directly involved in the decision-making for that specific application, even without voting. This could inadvertently introduce bias or create an environment where the applicant is discussed in a non-objective manner, compromising the fairness of the process. A further incorrect approach would be to delegate the evaluation to a subordinate without proper oversight or clear guidelines, which could lead to inconsistent application of standards and a lack of accountability. Professionals in similar situations should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes ethical considerations and regulatory adherence. This involves 1. Identifying potential conflicts of interest, 2. Disclosing any identified conflicts promptly and transparently to the relevant authorities or committee, 3. Seeking guidance on appropriate actions, which often includes recusal from decision-making, 4. Documenting the conflict and the steps taken to manage it. This systematic approach ensures that decisions are not only fair and impartial, but also demonstrably so, protecting both the individual professional and the institution. Question 5. Analysis of the admissions process for Al Mamoun University College reveals a potential conflict between the need to meet enrollment targets and the strict adherence to the established Al Mamoun University College entrance exam criteria. A senior admissions officer is considering recommending the admission of a candidate who narrowly missed the minimum academic score, but is from a region with historically low representation at the college. The officer believes admitting this candidate would contribute to diversity goals and help meet enrollment numbers. Which of the following approaches best reflects the professional and regulatory obligations under the Al Mamoun University College entrance exam framework? Option A. Recommend the candidate's admission based on their potential to contribute to diversity and assist in meeting enrollment targets, even if they do not fully meet the standard academic score. Option B. Strictly adhere to the published Al Mamoun University College entrance exam academic and procedural requirements for all applicants, ensuring a fair and objective evaluation based on merit. Option C. Advocate for a temporary suspension of certain Al Mamoun University College entrance exam academic requirements for the current admission cycle to facilitate meeting enrollment goals. Option D. Propose the creation of a special category for admissions that considers factors beyond the standard Al Mamoun University College entrance exam criteria for candidates from underrepresented regions. The correct answer is B. Strictly adhere to the published Al Mamoun University College entrance exam academic and procedural requirements for all applicants, ensuring a fair and objective evaluation based on merit. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between the university's immediate financial needs and the long-term ethical and regulatory obligations concerning student admissions. The pressure to meet enrollment targets can tempt individuals to overlook or bend established admission criteria, potentially compromising the integrity of the academic institution and the fairness of the selection process. Careful judgment is required to balance institutional goals with adherence to the Al Mamoun University College entrance exam regulations. The correct approach involves a rigorous and impartial application of the established Al Mamoun University College entrance exam admission criteria to all applicants, regardless of external pressures or perceived institutional needs. This aligns with the fundamental ethical principle of fairness and the regulatory framework of the exam, which mandates objective evaluation. By adhering strictly to the defined academic and procedural requirements, the admissions committee upholds the integrity of the college and ensures that all candidates are assessed on their merits, preventing any undue influence or preferential treatment. This approach safeguards the reputation of Al Mamoun University College and maintains public trust in its admissions process. An incorrect approach would be to prioritize meeting enrollment targets by relaxing admission standards for certain applicants who may not fully meet the criteria. This directly violates the Al Mamoun University College entrance exam regulations, which are designed to ensure a qualified student body. Such a deviation introduces bias and unfairness, undermining the principle of equal opportunity for all applicants. It also exposes the university to potential reputational damage and regulatory scrutiny for failing to uphold its own established standards. Another incorrect approach would be to create a separate, less stringent set of criteria for applicants who are perceived as having potential connections or influence, even if they do not meet the standard academic requirements. This is ethically unsound, as it establishes a two-tiered system of evaluation, which is discriminatory and violates the spirit of merit-based admissions. It also creates a precedent for favoritism and can lead to the admission of students who are not adequately prepared for the academic rigor of the college, ultimately impacting the quality of education and the success of those students. A professional decision-making process for similar situations should begin with a clear understanding and unwavering commitment to the Al Mamoun University College entrance, exam regulations, and ethical guidelines. When faced with pressure to deviate, professionals should first consult the relevant documentation to reaffirm the established procedures and principles. If ambiguity exists, or if the pressure is significant, seeking guidance from a supervisor or the relevant regulatory body is crucial. The decision-making process should prioritize transparency, fairness, and adherence to established rules over short-term expediency or external pressures. Documenting the decision-making process and the rationale behind it is also a vital step in ensuring accountability and protecting against future challenges. Question 6. The monitoring system demonstrates an unusual similarity between two student submissions for the Al Mamoun University College entrance exam's essay component, raising concerns about potential academic misconduct. As an admissions officer, what is the most appropriate initial step to address this situation, adhering strictly to Al Mamoun University College's academic integrity guidelines? Option A. Send a warning email to both students about the importance of academic integrity without detailing the specific concern. Option B. Immediately disqualify both students from the entrance exam based on the system's alert. Option C. Forward the alert to the college's IT department for a technical review of the monitoring system's accuracy without further action regarding the students. Option D. Initiate a formal investigation, gathering all relevant submission data and evidence, and then schedule a meeting with both students to discuss the findings and allow them to provide explanations. Correct answer is B. Immediately disqualify both students from the entrance exam based on the system's alert. Explanation. The monitoring system demonstrates a potential breach of academic integrity by flagging unusual patterns in student submissions. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires a balanced approach that upholds the college's commitment to academic honesty while also ensuring fairness to students and respecting their privacy. The Al Mamoun University College entrance exam regulations, as per the provided framework, emphasize a fair and transparent assessment process. The correct approach involves a thorough, multifaceted investigation that prioritizes gathering evidence and providing the student with an opportunity to respond before any disciplinary action is taken. This aligns with the principles of due process and natural justice, which are implicitly expected in academic institutions, to ensure that decisions are fair and based on concrete evidence. Specifically, the Al Mamoun University College entrance exam guidelines would mandate that any allegations of academic misconduct are handled with impartiality, and that students are informed of the evidence against them and given a chance to present their side. This approach respects the student's right to a fair hearing and ensures that any sanctions are proportionate to the proven offense. An incorrect approach would be to immediately assume guilt based solely on the monitoring system's alert. This fails to acknowledge the possibility of technical errors, legitimate collaborative work that might appear unusual, or other innocent explanations. Such an immediate punitive response would violate the principles of fairness and due process, potentially leading to an unjust outcome for the student and damaging the college's reputation for integrity. Another incorrect approach would be to ignore the alert altogether. This would be a dereliction of duty, failing to uphold the college's commitment to academic integrity and potentially allowing academic misconduct to go unaddressed, which undermines the value of the degrees awarded by Al Mamoun University College. A third incorrect approach would be to publicly disclose the suspected breach without proper investigation or confirmation. This would be a severe breach of student privacy and could lead to reputational damage for both the student and the institution, as well as potential legal ramifications. Professionals should approach such situations by first understanding the specific regulations of Al Mamoun University College regarding academic integrity and student conduct. They should then follow a systematic process, verify the alert, gather all relevant evidence, consult with relevant academic departments or integrity committees, communicate clearly and respectfully with the student, and provide them with a fair opportunity to respond. Decisions should be based on established policies and a thorough review of all facts, ensuring that any action taken is consistent, fair, and defensible. Question 7. Compliance review shows that a prospective student for Al Mamun University College's engineering program, who achieved a score just below the minimum threshold on the entrance exam, has provided documentation detailing significant personal hardship during the exam period, including a family emergency. The student has also submitted a compelling personal statement and strong recommendations from their high school. The admissions committee is considering how to proceed. Which of the following represents the most appropriate and compliant course of action? Option A. Inform the student that the entrance exam score is the primary determinant for admission and that their request cannot be considered due to the score not meeting the minimum requirement, without further investigation into the circumstances. Option B. Grant the student provisional admission to the engineering program based on their personal statement and recommendations, with the understanding that they must achieve a certain GPA in their first semester to secure full admission. Option C. Forward the student's application and supporting documents directly to the head of the engineering department for an immediate decision on admission, bypassing the standard admissions committee review. Option D. Initiate a formal review process by the admissions committee, requesting further clarification from the student and consulting with the engineering department's admissions liaison to assess the student's academic potential and the impact of the hardship, while ensuring all decisions are documented and aligned with university admission policies for exceptional cases. The correct answer is D. Initiate a formal review process by the admissions committee, requesting further clarification from the student and consulting with the engineering department's admissions liaison to assess the student's academic potential and the impact of the hardship, while ensuring all decisions are documented and aligned with university admission policies for exceptional cases. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the immediate needs of a new student with the established academic integrity and admission policies of Al Mamun University College. The admissions committee must act ethically and in accordance with the university's regulations, while also demonstrating empathy and fairness. The core tension lies between upholding the integrity of the entrance exam process and providing a supportive pathway for a promising candidate who may have faced extenuating circumstances. The correct approach involves a thorough, documented review of the student's situation, seeking clarification from the relevant academic departments, and making a decision that aligns with the spirit and letter of Al Mamun University College's admission guidelines. This approach prioritizes fairness, transparency, and adherence to established procedures. It acknowledges that while exceptions can be made, they must be justified and applied consistently to maintain the credibility of the admissions process. The regulatory justification stems from the university's own internal policies on admissions, which likely outline procedures for handling exceptional cases and require evidence-based decision-making. Ethically, this approach upholds principles of justice and due process for all applicants. An incorrect approach would be to grant immediate admission based solely on the student's stated hardship, without a formal review process. This bypasses established procedures and could be perceived as favoritism, undermining the fairness of the entrance exam for other candidates. It also fails to gather sufficient information to make an informed decision, potentially setting a precedent that weakens the admissions criteria. Another incorrect approach would be to summarily reject the student's request without any consideration for their circumstances or offering alternative pathways. This demonstrates a lack of empathy and could be seen as overly rigid, potentially alienating promising students and damaging the university's reputation for inclusivity. It fails to explore potential solutions within the existing framework. A third incorrect approach would be to delegate the decision-making entirely to the student's potential faculty mentor without involving the formal admissions committee. While faculty input is valuable, the ultimate decision on admission rests with the designated admissions body, ensuring a standardized and equitable process across all applicants. This abdication of responsibility by the admissions committee is a procedural and ethical failure. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve 1. Understanding the specific university policies and procedures related to admissions and exceptional circumstances. 2. Gathering all relevant information and documentation from the applicant. 3. Consulting with relevant stakeholders, e.g., admissions committee, academic departments, to gain diverse perspectives and ensure adherence to policy. 4. Evaluating the situation against established criteria, considering both the applicant's circumstances and the integrity of the admission process. 5. Documenting the decision-making process and the rationale behind the final outcome. 6. Communicating the decision clearly and respectfully to the applicant. Question 8. Research into potential partnerships for Al Mamoun University College has revealed a significant opportunity to secure substantial funding from a group of affluent individuals. However, it has become apparent that some of these potential donors have expressed a desire for their children, who may not meet the standard academic entry requirements, to be granted preferential admission. The college is facing pressure to accept these donations and facilitate the admission of these individuals' children to maintain financial stability. Considering the ethical obligations and the regulatory framework governing university admissions at Al Mamoun University College, what is the most appropriate course of action for the college administration? Option A. Negotiate a direct financial contribution in exchange for guaranteed admission slots for the donor's children, regardless of their academic qualifications. Option B. Prioritize the integrity of the admissions process by adhering strictly to established academic criteria and ensuring all applicants are evaluated on merit, while exploring alternative, ethically sound fundraising strategies. Option C. Decline the donations entirely to avoid any perception of impropriety, even if it means jeopardizing the college's financial stability. Option D. Accept the donations and create a separate, less stringent admission pathway for the children of these donors, framing it as a legacy program to maintain appearances. The correct answer is B. Prioritize the integrity of the admissions process by adhering strictly to established academic criteria and ensuring all applicants are evaluated on merit, while exploring alternative, ethically sound fundraising strategies. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between the university's immediate financial needs and the long-term implications of academic integrity and student welfare. The pressure to secure funding can lead to decisions that compromise the quality of education or the fairness of the admissions process. Careful judgment is required to balance these competing interests. The correct approach involves prioritizing the integrity of the admissions process and the academic standards of Al Mamoun University College. This means ensuring that all applicants, regardless of their background or potential financial contribution, are evaluated based on merit and suitability for the program. Adherence to the Al Mamoun University College's established admission criteria and ethical guidelines is paramount. This approach upholds the university's reputation, ensures that admitted students are academically prepared, and fosters a fair and equitable environment for all prospective students. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on securing funding from wealthy individuals without regard for their academic qualifications would be a significant ethical and regulatory failure. This would undermine the principle of merit-based admissions, potentially admitting students who are not equipped to succeed, thereby lowering academic standards and damaging the college's reputation. It also creates an unfair advantage for those who can afford to donate, disregarding the efforts of equally or more qualified students who may not have the same financial resources. Another incorrect approach that involves creating a separate, less rigorous admission track for donors' children, even if presented as a special program, would still violate the spirit and likely the letter of fair admission policies. This creates a two-tiered system that compromises academic integrity and fairness. It suggests that financial contributions can override established academic requirements, which is ethically unsound and could lead to regulatory scrutiny if it contravenes any internal or external oversight bodies governing university admissions. A professional decision-making process for similar situations should begin with a clear understanding of the Al Mamoun University College's mission, values, and admission policies. Professionals should identify all stakeholders and their interests. They should then evaluate potential courses of action against these policies, ethical principles, and any relevant regulatory frameworks. Seeking advice from senior leadership, legal counsel, or ethics committees is crucial when faced with complex ethical dilemmas. The ultimate decision should prioritize the long-term health and integrity of the institution over short-term gains. Question 9. Operational review demonstrates that Al Mamun University College is facing pressure to meet its enrollment targets for the upcoming academic year. A proposal has been put forward to consider applicants who may not fully meet the standard academic entry requirements, but have demonstrated significant potential for future financial contribution to the college through scholarships or donations, which approach best aligns with the principles governing Al Mamun University College's entrance examinations. Option A. Create a special admissions track for applicants with potential financial contributions, allowing for a review of their applications with relaxed academic entry requirements. Option B. Expedite the admission of applicants who have secured significant financial commitments to the college, even if their academic qualifications are below the standard threshold. Option C. Prioritize applicants who demonstrate strong academic merit and meet all published admission criteria, ensuring a fair and transparent selection process. Option D. Focus on admitting a diverse cohort of students, which includes considering applicants with strong financial backing as a key factor in their admission, alongside academic potential. Correct answer is C. Prioritize applicants who demonstrate strong academic merit and meet all published admission criteria, ensuring a fair and transparent selection process. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between the university's immediate financial needs and the long-term integrity of its admissions process. The pressure to meet enrollment targets can tempt decision-makers to overlook established criteria, potentially compromising the fairness and reputation of Al Mamun University College. Careful judgment is required to balance institutional goals with ethical obligations. The correct approach involves a thorough and objective evaluation of all applicants based strictly on the published admission criteria. This upholds the principle of fairness and equal opportunity, ensuring that all candidates are assessed on their merits. Adherence to the established academic and procedural guidelines is paramount, as it forms the bedrock of a credible and trustworthy educational institution. This aligns with the Al Mamun University College's commitment to academic excellence and ethical conduct, as implicitly required by its regulatory framework for entrance examinations. An incorrect approach that prioritizes applicants based on their potential to contribute financially, even if they do not fully meet the academic requirements, violates the principle of meritocracy. This can lead to the admission of underqualified students, potentially lowering academic standards and damaging the college's reputation. It also creates an unfair advantage for some applicants over others who have met the criteria through legitimate means. Another incorrect approach that involves waiving certain admission requirements for a select group of applicants, regardless of their academic standing, undermines the transparency and consistency of the admissions process. This can foster an environment of favoritism and can lead to legal challenges or public distrust. It fails to uphold the standardized procedures expected of a university entrance examination. A further incorrect approach that involves creating a separate, less stringent set of admission criteria for specific groups of applicants, without clear justification and public disclosure, is also ethically unsound. This can be perceived as discriminatory or as an attempt to circumvent the established standards, eroding confidence in the integrity of the admissions process. Professionals in this situation should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes adherence to established policies and ethical principles. This involves 1. Clearly understanding and referencing the official Al Mamun University College entrance exam regulations and admission criteria. 2. Objectively assessing all applicants against these defined standards. 3. Documenting all decisions and the rationale behind them. 4. Seeking guidance from relevant university committees or legal counsel if ambiguities or conflicts arise. 5. Maintaining transparency and fairness throughout the entire admissions process. Question 10. Comparative studies suggest that university entrance exams often assess a candidate's understanding of ethical considerations in professional contexts. Considering the Al Mamun University College's commitment to academic integrity and responsible governance, which of the following approaches best reflects the ethical and regulatory framework for evaluating a significant, unsolicited donation from a prominent individual whose recent business dealings have attracted some public scrutiny? Option A. Initiate a comprehensive due diligence process to verify the legitimacy of the donation and the donor's financial activities, consulting university policies on ethical fundraising and seeking legal counsel if any concerns arise, before making a final decision on acceptance. Option B. Accept the donation but stipulate that the funds must be used for a specific, low-profile project, thereby minimizing the university's public association with the donor. Option C. Lightly decline the donation, citing vague concerns about public perception, without conducting any investigation, to avoid any potential association with controversy. Option D. Immediately accept the donation, acknowledging the significant financial contribution and the donor's public standing, while deferring any detailed investigation into the source of funds until after the funds have been integrated into the university's budget. The correct answer is D. Immediately accept the donation, acknowledging the significant financial contribution and the donor's public standing, while deferring any detailed investigation into the source of funds until after the funds have been integrated into the university's budget. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between the university's immediate financial needs and the long-term ethical implications of accepting potentially compromised funding. The admissions committee must exercise careful judgment to uphold the integrity of the Al-Mamun University College and its academic standards, ensuring that the institution's reputation is not tarnished by association with unethical practices. The correct approach involves a thorough due diligence process that prioritizes ethical considerations and regulatory compliance above immediate financial gain. This means meticulously investigating the source of the donation, verifying its legitimacy, and ensuring it aligns with the university's ethical guidelines and any relevant regulations governing charitable donations and institutional integrity. This approach is ethically sound because it upholds the principle of acting with integrity and avoiding conflicts of interest. It also aligns with the spirit of academic institutions to foster a responsible and ethical environment, preventing the university from becoming complicit in or appearing to endorse any questionable activities associated with the donor. An approach that focuses solely on the financial benefit of the donation, without adequate scrutiny, represents a significant ethical failure. It prioritizes monetary gain over the institution's reputation and the principles of academic integrity. This could lead to reputational damage, loss of public trust, and potential regulatory scrutiny if the donation is later found to be linked to illicit activities. Another incorrect approach is to accept the donation based on the donor's public profile or perceived influence, without independently verifying the source of their wealth. This demonstrates a lack of due diligence and an over-reliance on superficial indicators, which can be misleading. Ethically, this approach fails to exercise reasonable care and diligence in safeguarding the university's interests and reputation. Finally, an approach that seeks to circumvent established university policies for accepting donations, perhaps by fast-tracking approval or ignoring red flags, is also professionally unacceptable. This undermines institutional governance and ethical frameworks, creating a precedent for future compromises and potentially exposing the university to legal and ethical repercussions. Professionals in such situations should employ a structured decision-making process. This involves 1. Identifying the ethical dilemma and potential conflicts. 2. Gathering all relevant information, including details about the donor and the source of funds. 3. Consulting university policies and relevant regulations. 4. Assessing the risks and benefits associated with each potential course of action, with a strong emphasis on ethical implications and reputational impact. 5. Seeking advice from relevant stakeholders, such as legal counsel or an ethics committee, if necessary. 6. Making a decision that demonstrably upholds the university's values and regulatory obligations. Question 11. The audit findings indicate potential procedural irregularities in the admissions process for the upcoming academic year at Al-Mamun University College. These findings, if released without careful consideration, could significantly impact prospective student applications and the college's reputation. The university administration must decide how to address and communicate these findings. Which of the following represents the most appropriate course of action from a stakeholder perspective, considering the need for transparency, accountability, and institutional integrity? Option A. Immediately publish the full audit report on the university's public website to ensure complete transparency, regardless of potential immediate consequences. Option B. Share the audit findings only with the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research and await their directive on how to proceed, without informing other stakeholders. Option C. Conduct a thorough internal review of the audit findings with relevant academic and administrative departments. Develop a clear action plan to address any identified issues, and then communicate the findings and the corrective measures to all stakeholders in a transparent and timely manner. Option D. Conceal the audit findings from all external stakeholders until the next accreditation review, at which point they can be addressed. The correct answer is C. Conduct a thorough internal review of the audit findings with relevant academic and administrative departments. Develop a clear action plan to address any identified issues, and then communicate the findings and the corrective measures to all stakeholders in a transparent and timely manner. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires the university administration to balance the immediate need for transparency and accountability with the potential for reputational damage and the need to protect the integrity of ongoing academic processes. The audit findings, if made public without careful consideration, could erode public trust in Al-Mamun University College. The decision-making process must be guided by principles of good governance, ethical conduct, and adherence to any internal university policies or relevant Iraqi educational regulations that govern the disclosure of such findings. The correct approach involves a measured and strategic communication plan. This entails a thorough review of the audit report by relevant university committees and legal counsel to understand the full implications of the findings. Subsequently, a clear, factual, and transparent communication strategy should be developed, focusing on the corrective actions being taken. This approach upholds ethical principles of honesty and accountability, while demonstrating a commitment to continuous improvement and responsible management, aligning with the expectations of stakeholders and regulatory bodies overseeing higher education in Iraq. An incorrect approach would be to immediately and fully disclose all audit findings without any internal review or strategic planning. This could lead to misinterpretations, panic among students and faculty, and potentially expose the university to unnecessary legal or reputational risks before a comprehensive response can be formulated. Another incorrect approach would be to suppress or heavily redact the findings, which would be unethical and a violation of transparency principles, potentially leading to accusations of a cover-up and further damaging trust. A third incorrect approach would be to only communicate with a select group of stakeholders, excluding the broader university community and the public, which would be discriminatory and foster suspicion. Professionals should approach such situations by first gathering all relevant information and understanding the context. They should then consult internal policies and external regulations. A risk assessment should be conducted to evaluate the potential consequences of different communication strategies. Collaboration with legal, communications, and academic leadership is crucial to develop a response that is both compliant and ethically sound, prioritizing the long-term interests and reputation of the institution. Question 12. Regulatory review indicates that Al-Mamun University College is considering a substantial donation from a new potential donor, whose business activities have recently attracted some public scrutiny. The university's finance department is eager to accept the funds to support new academic programs, but the admissions committee has expressed concerns about potential implications for the fairness of the student selection process. Which of the following approaches best balances the university's financial needs with its ethical obligations and commitment to academic integrity? Option A. Conduct a thorough due diligence investigation into the donor's background and the source of funds, ensuring compliance with university policies and relevant national guidelines for charitable donations, and establish clear protocols to prevent any influence on the admissions process. Option B. Accept the donation, but implement a policy of strict anonymity for the donor, ensuring that no information about the source of the funds is disclosed to any university department, including admissions. Option C. Accept the donation immediately to secure the necessary funding for academic programs, assuming the donor's intentions are purely philanthropic and any public scrutiny is unrelated to the donation. Option D. Reject the donation outright due to the public scrutiny surrounding the donor, without conducting any further investigation into the legitimacy of the funds or the donor's intentions. The correct answer is A. Conduct a thorough due diligence investigation into the donor's background and the source of funds, ensuring compliance with university policies and relevant national guidelines for charitable donations, and establish clear protocols to prevent any influence on the admissions process. Explanation: this scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between the university's immediate need for funding and the ethical obligation to ensure the integrity of the admissions process. The pressure to secure a significant donation from a potential donor with a questionable reputation requires careful judgment to balance institutional goals with ethical responsibilities. The correct approach involves a thorough due diligence process that prioritizes transparency and adherence to Al Mamun University College's established ethical guidelines and any relevant national regulations governing charitable donations and university governance. This approach is right because it upholds the principles of academic integrity and institutional reputation. By conducting a comprehensive background check on the donor and the source of funds, and by ensuring that the donation does not create any undue influence or compromise the fairness of the admissions process, the university acts in accordance with its ethical mandate. This aligns with the general principles of good governance and ethical conduct expected of educational institutions, which often have internal policies and potentially national guidelines that require scrutiny of significant donations to prevent conflicts of interest or reputational damage. An incorrect approach would be to accept the donation without adequate scrutiny, driven solely by the financial benefit. This failure would violate ethical principles by potentially associating the university with illicit activities or individuals, thereby damaging its reputation and undermining public trust. Furthermore, it could lead to a perception of favoritism in admissions, compromising the fairness and meritocratic basis of the selection process, which is a fundamental ethical and potentially regulatory concern for any educational institution. Another incorrect approach would be to reject the donation outright without any investigation. While caution is warranted, an immediate rejection without understanding the donor's background or the legitimacy of the funds might mean missing an opportunity for a genuinely beneficial contribution, provided it can be accepted ethically. This approach lacks the nuanced judgment required to navigate complex stakeholder interests. A third incorrect approach would be to accept the donation, but attempt to conceal the donor's identity or the circumstances of the donation. This lack of transparency is ethically unsound and could lead to severe reputational damage and potential regulatory scrutiny if discovered, as it suggests an attempt to circumvent ethical standards or mislead stakeholders. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured risk assessment. This includes identifying potential ethical and reputational risks, consulting relevant university policies and any applicable national regulations concerning donations and university operations, seeking advice from legal counsel and ethics committees, and ensuring that any decision is made with full transparency and accountability to all stakeholders. The ultimate goal is to protect the integrity and long-term sustainability of the institution. Question 13. Consider a scenario where a member of the Al Mamun University College Entrance Exam Admissions Committee is reviewing an application from a student whose parent is a significant donor to the university. The applicant meets the minimum academic requirements, but is not a standout candidate compared to others. The committee member is aware of the parent's influence and potential for future substantial donations if their child is admitted. What is the most appropriate course of action for the committee member to ensure the integrity of the admissions process according to Al Mamun University College entrance exam regulations? Option A. Vote to admit the applicant based on the assumption that the parent's influence indicates the student possesses qualities valued by the university. Option B. Advocate for the applicant's admission, highlighting the potential future benefits to the university from the parent's continued support. Option C. Recuse themselves from the decision-making process for this specific applicant and report the potential conflict of interest to the admissions committee chair. Option D. Discreetly suggest to the applicant's parent that additional extracurricular activities or a personal essay focusing on their family's philanthropic history might strengthen the application. The correct answer is B. Advocate for the applicant's admission, highlighting the potential future benefits to the university from the parent's continued support. Explanation: this scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between a student's desire for academic advancement and the university's commitment to academic integrity and fair assessment. The admissions committee must navigate this situation with a strong adherence to the Al Mamun University College entrance exams established regulations and ethical guidelines, ensuring that all decisions are based on merit and established procedures, not on external pressures or potential future benefits. The correct approach involves a thorough and impartial review of the applicant's qualifications against the stated entrance criteria, without allowing personal relationships or potential future contributions to influence the decision. This aligns with the Al Mamun University College entrance exams regulatory framework, which emphasizes objective evaluation and equal opportunity for all applicants. The ethical imperative is to uphold the integrity of the admissions process and maintain public trust in the university's standards. An incorrect approach would be to grant preferential treatment based on the applicant's familial connection to a prominent figure. This directly violates the principle of meritocracy and fair competition, which are foundational to university admissions. Such an action would undermine the credibility of the Al Mamun University College entrance exam and could lead to accusations of bias and favoritism, eroding trust among other applicants and the wider academic community. Another incorrect approach would be to delay the decision indefinitely, or to create arbitrary additional requirements for this specific applicant. This circumvents the established admissions process and signals a lack of transparency and fairness. It fails to adhere to the procedural fairness expected under the Al Mamun University College entrance exams guidelines, which mandate timely and consistent evaluation of all applications. The professional decision-making process in such situations requires a commitment to the established rules and ethical principles of the Al Mamun University College entrance exam. Professionals must first identify the core issue, the potential for undue influence on the admissions process. They should then consult the relevant regulations and ethical codes to understand the prescribed procedures for evaluating applicants. The decision should be based solely on the applicant's adherence to these criteria, documented evidence, and the established evaluation rubric, ensuring that the process is transparent, fair, and defensible. Any external information or relationships should be disregarded if they are not part of the official assessment criteria. Question 14. Market research demonstrates that Al Mamun University College faces increasing pressure to meet its enrollment targets for the upcoming academic year. The admissions committee is considering various strategies to achieve this goal. Which of the following approaches best aligns with the principles of a fair and credible university entrance examination process? Option A. Implementing a revised admissions rubric that allows for significant flexibility in evaluating applications from specific demographic groups to ensure diversity and meet enrollment quotas. Option B. Encouraging admissions officers to exercise broad discretion in interpreting application requirements to accommodate a larger number of candidates. Option C. Strictly adhering to the established admission criteria and thoroughly evaluating all applications based on academic merit and performance in the entrance exam, regardless of enrollment pressures. Option D. Creating a fast-track admissions process for applicants who demonstrate potential financial contribution to the university, bypassing some standard evaluation steps. The correct answer is C. Strictly adhering to the established admission criteria and thoroughly evaluating all applications based on academic merit and performance in the entrance exam, regardless of enrollment pressures. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between the university's immediate financial needs and the long-term integrity of its admissions process. The pressure to meet enrollment targets can tempt individuals to overlook established procedures or ethical considerations. Careful judgment is required to balance institutional goals with the fundamental principles of fairness and academic merit. The correct approach involves a thorough and objective review of all applications, adhering strictly to the Al Mamun University College entrance exams established criteria and guidelines. This ensures that admissions decisions are based on merit and that all candidates are treated equitably. This approach is ethically justified by the principle of fairness and the regulatory requirement to maintain a transparent and impartial admissions process, as implicitly mandated by the need for a credible entrance examination. It upholds the university's reputation and the value of its degrees. An incorrect approach that prioritizes meeting enrollment targets by lowering admission standards for certain applicants is ethically flawed because it undermines the principle of equal opportunity and devalues the academic achievements of other candidates. This violates the spirit of a merit-based entrance examination and could lead to the admission of students who are not adequately prepared, potentially impacting the academic environment and the university's standing. Another incorrect approach that involves creating a separate, less rigorous admissions track for specific groups, even if well-intentioned, is also ethically problematic. It introduces an element of discrimination, even if not explicitly intended, and compromises the integrity of the standardized entrance exam. This approach fails to uphold the regulatory expectation of a uniform and objective assessment for all prospective students. A third incorrect approach that involves pressuring admissions officers to overlook minor discrepancies in applications to meet quotas is ethically unacceptable. It encourages a disregard for established procedures and can lead to the admission of unqualified candidates, thereby compromising the academic standards and reputation of Al-Mamun University College. Professionals in such situations should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes adherence to established regulations and ethical principles. This involves 1. Clearly understanding the university's admissions policies and the regulatory framework governing the entrance exam. 2. Objectively evaluating all applications based on the defined criteria. 3. Resisting external pressure to compromise standards. 4. Escalating concerns about potential breaches of policy or ethics to the appropriate oversight bodies within the university. 5. Documenting all decisions and the rationale behind them to ensure transparency and accountability. Question 15. The investigation demonstrates that Mr. Ahmed, a candidate for admission to Al-Mamun University College, has submitted an application where his self-reported academic achievements appear to differ from the official transcripts provided by his previous institution. The admissions committee is tasked with determining the appropriate course of action. Option A. Accept Mr. Ahmed's application as submitted, overlooking the discrepancy to avoid potential delays or complications in the admissions timeline. Option B. Initiate a formal review process to verify the discrepancy, requesting further documentation or clarification from Mr. Ahmed and his previous institution if necessary, before making a final decision. Option C. Immediately reject Mr. Ahmed's application due to the apparent inconsistency, assuming a deliberate attempt to mislead the university. Option D. Contact Mr. Ahmed directly and accuse him of misrepresenting his academic record, demanding an immediate explanation without prior verification. The correct answer is B. Initiate a formal review process to verify the discrepancy, requesting further documentation or clarification from Mr. Ahmed and his previous institution if necessary, before making a final decision. Explanation. The investigation demonstrates a scenario where a prospective student, Mr. Ahmed, has provided information that appears to be inconsistent with his academic record during the Al-Mamun University College entrance examination application process. This presents a professional challenge for the admissions committee, requiring them to balance the university's commitment to admitting qualified students with the ethical imperative to ensure fairness and integrity in the admissions process. The committee must carefully consider the implications of Mr. Ahmed's statements and the potential for misrepresentation without making premature judgments. The correct approach involves a thorough and objective review of all submitted documentation, including academic transcripts, standardized test scores, and any personal statements or essays. This approach prioritizes due diligence and adherence to the Al-Mamun University College's established admissions policies and procedures. Specifically, it aligns with the university's regulatory framework, which mandates that all admissions decisions be based on verifiable information and that any discrepancies be investigated impartially. This ensures that the university upholds its commitment to academic integrity and provides equal opportunity to all applicants based on merit. An incorrect approach that involves immediately rejecting Mr. Ahmed's application based solely on the perceived inconsistency, without further investigation, fails to uphold the principles of fairness and due process. This approach risks penalizing a student without affording them the opportunity to clarify or rectify any potential misunderstandings. It also violates the ethical obligation to treat all applicants with respect and to ensure that decisions are based on a comprehensive evaluation. Another incorrect approach, which is to accept Mr. Ahmed's application without addressing the apparent discrepancy, compromises the integrity of the admissions process. This would set a precedent that could undermine the university's standards and potentially admit a student who has not met the required qualifications or has misrepresented their academic standing. This approach neglects the university's responsibility to maintain a high standard of academic excellence and to ensure that all admitted students are genuinely qualified. A third incorrect approach, which is to confront Mr. Ahmed with accusations of dishonesty without first gathering all relevant facts and allowing him to respond, is unprofessional and ethically unsound. This premature accusation can damage the applicant's reputation and create an adversarial situation, hindering any possibility of a fair resolution. It bypasses the established procedures for addressing potential issues in applications. Professional decision-making process in such situations should involve a systematic approach. 1. Identify the discrepancy or concern. 2. Review the university's admissions policies and relevant guidelines for handling such issues. 3. Gather all relevant documentation and information pertaining to the applicant. 4. If necessary, seek clarification from the applicant in a neutral and professional manner, providing them an opportunity to explain the discrepancy. 5. Evaluate the information objectively, considering any explanations provided. 6. Make a decision based on the evidence and in accordance with university policies and ethical principles. 7. Document the entire process and the final decision. Question 16. The analysis reveals that the Al Mamun University College Admissions Committee is facing pressure to meet enrollment targets for the upcoming academic year, with a particular emphasis on attracting students who may be able to contribute to the university's endowment fund through future philanthropic efforts. The committee is considering various strategies to achieve these targets. Which of the following strategies best aligns with the ethical and regulatory framework governing university admissions at Al Mamun University College? Option A. Creating a separate admission stream for applicants with strong family ties to existing donors or alumni, allowing them to bypass some of the standard evaluation processes. Option B. Prioritizing applicants who demonstrate strong academic potential and a clear alignment with the college's program offerings, while ensuring all applicants are assessed against the same published admission criteria. Option C. Focusing recruitment efforts on regions or demographics that have historically shown a higher propensity for charitable giving, and adjusting admission standards to meet enrollment goals from these groups. Option D. Offering conditional admission to applicants who express a strong interest in making significant financial contributions to the university, even if their academic qualifications are below the standard entry requirements. The correct answer is B. Prioritizing applicants who demonstrate strong academic potential and a clear alignment with the college's program offerings, while ensuring all applicants are assessed against the same published admission criteria. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between the university's immediate financial needs and the long-term integrity of its admissions process. The admissions committee must balance the pressure to meet enrollment targets with the ethical obligation to select candidates based on merit and suitability, as outlined by Al Mamun University College's established admission guidelines. Careful judgment is required to avoid compromising academic standards or creating an unfair advantage for certain applicants. The correct approach involves a thorough and objective evaluation of all applicants against the published admission criteria, irrespective of any external pressures or perceived benefits. This aligns with the Al Mamun University College's commitment to academic excellence and fair selection, ensuring that the admissions process is transparent and equitable. Adhering strictly to the established criteria upholds the university's reputation and the value of its degrees. An approach that prioritizes applicants based on their potential to contribute financially to the university, without a primary focus on academic qualifications, represents a significant ethical and regulatory failure. This deviates from the core purpose of an academic institution, which is to foster learning and intellectual growth. Such a practice undermines the meritocratic principles of admissions and could lead to the enrollment of underqualified students, ultimately diminishing the quality of education and the university's standing. Another incorrect approach would be to grant preferential treatment to applicants who have personal connections to university faculty or administration, even if their qualifications are comparable to other candidates. This introduces bias and favoritism, violating principles of fairness and equal opportunity. The Al Mamun University College's admission guidelines are designed to ensure that all applicants are assessed on the same objective standards, and circumventing these guidelines through personal influence erodes trust in the admission system. Furthermore, an approach that involves creating special admission tracks or waiving standard requirements for certain groups of applicants, without a clear and justifiable rationale based on established university policy, is also professionally unacceptable. This can be perceived as discriminatory or arbitrary, leading to resentment among applicants and a loss of confidence in the university's fairness. The decision-making process for admissions should be guided by a clear, consistent, and transparent framework that prioritizes academic merit and suitability for the chosen program of study, as defined by Al-Mamun University College's internal regulations. Professionals should always refer to the university's official admissions policy and ethical codes of conduct when faced with such dilemmas, seeking guidance from senior leadership or the relevant oversight committee if ambiguity exists. Question 17. Compliance review shows that a prospective student for Al-Mamun University College, who is otherwise academically qualified, missed the mandatory entrance examination due to a sudden family emergency requiring their immediate travel abroad. The student has provided a brief explanation but no official documentation yet, and is requesting an immediate alternative assessment or waiver. The admissions committee must decide how to proceed. Option A. Initiate a formal review process to assess the student's eligibility for a special examination or alternative admission pathway, requiring official documentation of the emergency and adherence to the university's established procedures for extenuating circumstances. Option B. Grant an immediate waiver of the entrance examination and proceed with the student's application based on their explanation of the family emergency. Option C. Allow the student to take a make-up examination immediately without any formal verification of the emergency or consultation with the admissions committee. Option D. Inform the student that missing the examination means they are ineligible for admission this academic year and advise them to reapply next year. The correct answer is A. Initiate a formal review process to assess the student's eligibility for a special examination or alternative admission pathway, requiring official documentation of the emergency and adherence to the university's established procedures for extenuating circumstances. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the immediate needs of a new student with the established academic integrity and admission policies of Al-Mamun University College. The admissions committee must act ethically and in accordance with the university's stated regulations, while also demonstrating empathy and fairness. The core tension lies in upholding the integrity of the entrance exam process versus potentially accommodating a student facing unforeseen personal hardship. The correct approach involves a thorough and objective review of the student's situation against the established criteria for special consideration, as outlined in the Al-Mamun University College entrance examination guidelines. This approach is right because it adheres strictly to the university's regulatory framework, ensuring fairness and consistency for all applicants. It prioritizes due process and avoids setting precedents that could undermine the validity of the entrance examination. By seeking official documentation and consulting relevant university policies, the committee demonstrates a commitment to transparent and rule-based decision-making, which is a cornerstone of ethical academic administration. An incorrect approach would be to grant an immediate waiver of the entrance exam based solely on the student's stated personal circumstances, without proper verification or adherence to established procedures. This fails to uphold the regulatory framework of the Al-Mamun University College entrance exam, potentially creating an unfair advantage for this applicant over others who have met the standard requirements. It also bypasses the established channels for addressing extenuating circumstances, which may include specific forms, supporting evidence, or a formal appeal process. Another incorrect approach would be to dismiss the student's request outright without any form of review or consideration, even if the circumstances appear compelling. This demonstrates a lack of empathy and fails to explore whether any provisions within the university's guidelines might allow for flexibility in exceptional cases. Such an approach could be seen as rigid and unsupportive, potentially alienating prospective students and reflecting poorly on the university's commitment to student welfare. A further incorrect approach would be to delegate the decision-making entirely to a single individual without a formal committee review or consultation with relevant academic departments. This lacks the necessary checks and balances inherent in sound governance and can lead to inconsistent or biased decisions. It also fails to leverage the collective expertise and perspective of the admissions committee, which is crucial for making fair and informed judgments in complex situations. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve 1. Understanding and clearly identifying the relevant university policies and regulations governing admissions and special considerations. 2. Objectively assessing the applicant's situation against these established criteria. 3. Gathering all necessary supporting documentation and evidence. 4. Consulting with relevant stakeholders or committees as per university procedures. 5. Making a decision that is fair, consistent, transparent, and in full compliance with the regulatory framework. 6. Communicating the decision and the reasoning behind it clearly to the applicant. Question 18. To address the challenge of processing a high volume of applications for the Al Mamun University College entrance exam efficiently, while strictly adhering to its unique regulatory framework, laws, and guidelines, which of the following strategies represents the most appropriate approach to process optimization? Option A. Implementing a new, streamlined digital application portal that automatically flags incomplete submissions for manual review, ensuring all data fields mandated by the Al Mamun University College entrance exams guidelines are still captured and verified. Option B. Adopting a widely used, generic online application system from another educational institution that has proven efficient in their context, without a detailed audit of its compliance with Al Mamun University College entrance exam-specific regulations. Option C. Expediting the verification of applicant documents by accepting scanned copies without requiring original submissions, even if the Al Mamun University College entrance exams guidelines specify a particular method for document authentication. Option D. Outsourcing the initial screening of applications to a third-party service provider that offers rapid turnaround times, without verifying their adherence to the specific data protection and eligibility criteria set forth by the Al Mamun University College entrance exam. The correct answer is A. Implementing a new, streamlined digital application portal that automatically flags incomplete submissions for manual review, ensuring all data fields mandated by the Al Mamun University College entrance exams guidelines are still captured and verified. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because the Al Mamun University College entrance exam administration must balance the need for efficient processing of a large volume of applications with the absolute requirement to adhere to the exam's specific regulatory framework, laws, and guidelines. Misinterpreting or deviating from these established rules, even with the intention of improving speed, can lead to invalidation of the examination process, reputational damage, and potential legal repercussions for the institution. The core of the challenge lies in ensuring that any process optimization does not compromise the integrity and fairness mandated by the exam's governing regulations. Correct approach involves a thorough review and understanding of the Al Mamun University College entrance exam's specific regulatory framework, laws, and guidelines. This means identifying any provisions that explicitly or implicitly govern application processing, candidate eligibility verification, and the administration of the examination itself. Process optimization should then be designed to enhance efficiency with an asterisk these strict boundaries, ensuring that no rule is violated. For instance, if the regulations stipulate a specific method for verifying applicant documents, optimization efforts should focus on streamlining that method without altering its core compliance. This approach is correct because it prioritizes adherence to the absolute jurisdiction of the Al Mamun University College entrance exam, ensuring the validity and fairness of the entrance process, as dictated by its unique legal and regulatory landscape. An incorrect approach would be to implement a new, faster application submission system that bypasses a mandatory verification step outlined in the Al Mamun University College entrance exams guidelines. This is a regulatory failure because it directly contravenes a specified requirement, potentially allowing ineligible candidates to proceed and undermining the fairness of the exam. Another incorrect approach would be to adopt a standardized data entry protocol used by other institutions, without first confirming its compatibility with the Al Mamun University College entrance exam's specific data privacy and security regulations. This is an ethical and regulatory failure, as it risks breaching confidentiality or mismanaging applicant data, according to the exam's unique legal obligations. A third incorrect approach would be to outsource a portion of the application review process to a third-party vendor, without ensuring that the vendor is fully compliant with all Al Mamoun University College entrance exam regulations, particularly those concerning applicant data handling and eligibility assessment. This is a significant regulatory failure, as the responsibility for compliance ultimately rests with the university, and outsourcing without due diligence can lead to widespread noncompliance. Professionals tasked with process optimization in this context should employ a decision-making framework that begins with a comprehensive understanding of the governing jurisdiction. This involves meticulous study of the Al Mamoun University College entrance exam's specific regulatory framework, laws, and guidelines. Any proposed optimization must then be rigorously assessed against these specific rules. A risk assessment should be conducted to identify potential points of noncompliance. If a proposed optimization appears to deviate from the established framework, further consultation with legal counsel or regulatory experts familiar with the Al Mamoun University College entrance exam's specific requirements is essential before implementation. The guiding principle must always be to enhance efficiency, without compromising the integrity and legality of the examination process, as defined by its exclusive jurisdiction. Question 19. The review process indicates a backlog in processing applications for the Al Mamoun University College entrance exam, leading to pressure to expedite the assessment of submitted documents. Which of the following approaches best aligns with the Al Mamoun University College entrance exam's regulatory framework for admissions? Option A. Implementing a multi-stage verification process for all submitted documents to ensure accuracy and adherence to admission criteria. Option B. Expediting the review by making assumptions about the completeness of documents for applicants from certain educational backgrounds. Option C. Relying on informal discussions with previous admissions officers to gauge the suitability of applicants without full document review. Option D. Prioritizing applications based on the perceived likelihood of acceptance to reduce the overall processing time. The correct answer is A. Implementing a multi-stage verification process for all submitted documents to ensure accuracy and adherence to admission criteria. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the university's need for efficient admissions processing with the ethical obligation to ensure fairness and accuracy for all applicants. The Al Mamoun University College entrance exam regulations emphasize a structured and transparent review process. Misinterpreting or deviating from these established procedures can lead to unfair outcomes for applicants and undermine the integrity of the admissions process. The correct approach involves meticulously verifying each applicant's submitted documents against the established Al Mamoun University College entrance exam admission criteria. This ensures that all applicants are evaluated based on the same predefined standards, as mandated by the exam's regulatory framework, which prioritizes objective assessment and adherence to stated requirements. This approach upholds the principle of equal opportunity and prevents arbitrary decisions. An incorrect approach that bypasses the standard document verification for a perceived faster processing time fails to adhere to the Al Mamoun University College entrance exam's procedural guidelines. This can lead to unqualified candidates being admitted or qualified candidates being overlooked due to incomplete or inaccurate assessments, violating the ethical duty of fairness. Another incorrect approach that relies on anecdotal evidence or personal recommendations outside the formal documentation process directly contravenes the Al Mamoun University College entrance exam's emphasis on verifiable qualifications. This introduces subjectivity and bias, which are explicitly discouraged by the exam's regulatory framework, designed to ensure an objective and merit-based selection. A further incorrect approach that prioritizes speed over thoroughness by making assumptions about applicant eligibility without complete documentation is a direct violation of the Al Mamoun University College entrance exam's requirement for comprehensive review. This can result in errors that are difficult to rectify later and damage the reputation of the university. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a clear understanding of the Al Mamoun University College entrance exam's specific regulations and ethical guidelines. When faced with pressure to expedite processes, professionals must first consult the relevant rules to ensure any proposed shortcut does not compromise the integrity or fairness of the outcome. If there is ambiguity, seeking clarification from supervisors or the relevant examination board is crucial. The core principle is always to uphold the established procedures designed to ensure a just and equitable evaluation for all candidates. Question 20. What factors determine the most effective and ethically sound approach to optimizing the admissions process at Al Mamoun University College, ensuring both efficiency and fairness for all applicants? Option A. The subjective assessment of admissions staff regarding which applicant profiles are likely to be successful, allowing for a more intuitive and less standardized review process to speed up decisions. Option B. The adoption of a blanket policy to reduce the number of required documents for all applicants, aiming to simplify the submission process and accelerate initial screening, irrespective of the impact on comprehensive evaluation. Option C. The perceived urgency of meeting enrollment targets, leading to the implementation of expedited review procedures for a majority of applications, even if it means reducing the scrutiny applied to individual cases. Option D. The extent to which the proposed changes demonstrably improve processing speed and reduce error rates without compromising the depth and consistency of applicant evaluation, as supported by objective data and adherence to established university admission criteria. The correct answer is D. The extent to which the proposed changes demonstrably improve processing speed and reduce error rates without compromising the depth and consistency of applicant evaluation, as supported by objective data and adherence to established university admission criteria. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the university's need for efficient admissions processing with the ethical obligation to provide a fair and transparent evaluation for all applicants. The pressure to meet enrollment targets can inadvertently lead to shortcuts that compromise the integrity of the process. Careful judgment is required to ensure that efficiency gains do not come at the expense of equity and adherence to Al Mamoun University College's stated admission guidelines. The correct approach, focusing on systematic review and data-driven refinement of the admissions workflow, represents best professional practice. This involves clearly defining each stage of the admissions process, identifying bottlenecks through objective data analysis, e.g., processing times, error rates, and implementing targeted improvements. This aligns with the Al Mamoun University College's commitment to a merit-based and equitable admission system, as implied by its entrance exam framework, which prioritizes objective assessment. Ethical justification lies in ensuring that all applicants are evaluated consistently and fairly, without bias introduced by an inefficient or poorly designed process. An incorrect approach that prioritizes speed over thoroughness by reducing the number of review stages for applications from certain schools would be ethically unacceptable. This creates an unfair advantage for some applicants and a disadvantage for others, violating the principle of equal opportunity. It also risks overlooking critical information that might be revealed in a more comprehensive review, potentially admitting unqualified students or rejecting deserving ones. Another incorrect approach, focusing solely on applicant volume without analyzing the underlying reasons for delays, would be a failure in professional reasoning. This approach treats the symptom, slow processing, rather than the cause. It might lead to superficial solutions that do not address systemic issues within the admissions workflow, such as inadequate staffing, unclear criteria, or inefficient technology. This lacks the analytical rigor expected in optimizing a critical university function. A professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve 1. Clearly defining the objectives of the admissions process, e.g., fairness, efficiency, quality of intake. 2. Gathering objective data on the current process's performance. 3. Identifying specific areas for improvement based on this data. 4. Developing and piloting potential solutions, considering their impact on fairness and efficiency. 5. Implementing and continuously monitoring the effectiveness of chosen solutions. This systematic, data-informed, and ethically grounded approach ensures that process optimization serves the overarching goals of the institution.